Medical alert devices continue to improve with cutting-edge technologies and new features. But no matter how state-of-the-art, these life-saving systems can't help a senior unless the senior actually uses it. Taylor Shuman, SeniorLiving.org's senior tech expert and editor, is in a unique position to know what it's like to convince a senior to get and use a medical alert device. She not only knows the field well, but used her knowledge to try to convince her grandmother that she needed one. Did she succeed? Stick around to find out. Hey everyone, Jeff Hoyt, editor-in-chief of SeniorLiving.org, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Taylor Shuman. Taylor is the senior tech expert and editor at SeniorLiving.org as well. So welcome, Taylor.
Thanks, Jeff. I'm happy to be here.
I'm glad you can take the time as a colleague. We meet professionally sometimes. It'd be really nice to ask you some questions about medical alert devices, because I know you have both professional and personal experience with them. So everybody who gets older wants to age in place. They really don't want to go to a home, but that can be difficult. And with medical alert devices, it sort of lets people maintain their independence. That they can call for help, whether they're in the bathroom or not sitting by the phone. But it seems that a lot of seniors are reluctant to use them. Any idea why?
Absolutely. I think there are several reasons why older adults are pretty hesitant to use medical alert systems. I think similar to hearing aids, we see a lot of stigma surrounding medical alert systems. It can make seniors feel like they're getting older, like they're losing their independence, and that can be really frustrating as we age. And I think also a lot of seniors don't like the look of medical alert systems. They've seen kind of the traditional bulkier systems that are a bit older and outdated now, and feel that they don't want to wear something that's large and clunky and screams, "I'm older and I need help." So those are a few of the main reasons. In addition to cost, especially for seniors who are living on a fixed income, the idea of adding another bill to their budget just doesn't sound feasible. So those are the few of the main reasons that we see as to why older adults don't want to wear a medical alert system.
Well, I know SeniorLiving.org discusses them a lot, the pros and cons, and tries to convince people to try them out. Have you ever had any personal experience trying to convince someone to use a medical alert system?
I do actually have personal experience with that. My grandma, her name's Judy. She's 88 years old and she is super independent. She lives completely by herself without any care or assistance. But as she's gotten older, my family and I have started to worry just, what would happen if she had an accident and none of us were there to help. And she also has a few issues like arthritis and some problems with her knees, which contribute to a lack of mobility sometimes. So even though she's independent, she is at a bit of a higher risk of a fall. And so about 2 or 3 years ago, we sat her down as a family and just said, we'd really like you to consider a medical alert system. This is more about us having peace of mind that you're safe. And it also means we're going to bother you less because we're not going to be checking in all the time to make sure you're okay, because you'll have a system that we know is in place. So it's more about our own sense of worry rather than feeling like you need this. It's more of a backup plan. And my grandma was pretty receptive to this. At first, she was hesitant for two reasons. I think one was the appearance of medical alert systems, like we talked about. Some of them can be a little bit big and flashy. And she was also worried that the costs wouldn't fit into her budget. But she was open to the conversation because her own mom actually experienced a really awful fall when she was alive. And so she really understands the risks of falls. So she and I sat down and researched all sorts of different medical alert systems. I was showing her video reviews. We looked at all of the different options. And I think what really sold her was we found a system that looks exactly like a necklace. It was this really pretty pendant. It was turquoise, and it was something she probably would have picked out for herself anyway. And so it really changed her perspective on systems, and she realized that it didn't have to be something that would stand out, and she could be really discreet about wearing it. And she also realized that it would fit into her budget once we started comparing prices. So she purchased that system and she's been using it every day ever since. She's really efficient with it. She knows how it all works. And we definitely pester her a lot less often because we are so happy that she has this system in place.
You actually hit a lot of different points about reasons that you can use to convince someone. It's like it's not you, it's us. It's us worrying about you. We don't want to go to bed at night knowing that you could have fallen and there's no one around to help, or it doesn't cost that much, and that you're not going to look like you're wearing some huge device that says, "I'm old, I need help." So those are all like positive things you could use to sell them. And the first time you mentioned them, she was good to go, or did it take some some convincing?
It definitely took a few conversations. I think we started talking about it and she purchased the system maybe 6 months after the initial conversation. But each time we revisited it, it kind of convinced her more and more. And I think another thing that was really important was that we were patient with her and we let her make the decision on her own terms. It's really important that you let the person feel independent and make sure that they know that this is their choice and we're just there to support them. So I think she was really thankful that we didn't just go out and buy her a system or force her to wear something. It was something she had a say over.
And has the system ever gone off?
It has. She has actually had a few false alarms, which is interesting because we're thankful that it works. And so it's good to know. But one time she even had first responders show up at her house after her system thought that she fell and she didn't hear it. Normally, you can cancel a call before first responders show up, but she just didn't hear it. And they showed up and she was like, well, I'm very glad to know that they arrived really quickly and help was available. And she was able to let them know it was a false alarm and they were sent home. But luckily, she's never had to use it for an actual emergency, but we're reassured to know that it does work.
That's trial by fire right there. So I'm glad it worked out. Um,
Yeah.
and you mentioned it detected a fall. So certain medical alert devices also have fall detection built in.
Yeah, those are excellent. So they detect the motion of a fall, and if you're not able to respond, they automatically send help. So this is really great because a lot of times when you fall, you might be unconscious for whatever reason, and so you're not able to press a button to send for help. And so they do sometimes, like I mentioned with my grandma, they do have false alarms occasionally, but there is also a way to cancel the call if it was just an accident. So it's really great for peace of mind.
And you talked about your peace of mind and other reasons that you use to convince her. Are there any methods you recommend people don't do to try to convince a loved one to use a medical alert device?
Yes, I would definitely recommend that you don't use scare tactics or any threats. I think there are so many stories out there of falls and really terrifying experiences people have had. And you don't want to share those with your loved one by trying to make them act out of fear. If your loved one is buying a system because they're anxious and fearful, they're just going to feel worry from day to day. And that's not good for their overall health. And there's a direct correlation between health, including mental health and risk of falls. So if your loved one is stressed and anxious because of this, they're actually at a higher risk of falls. So what we want to see is that they're choosing a system because they know it will offer them and their loved ones an extra layer of security and peace of mind. And it's more of just a precaution rather than something they need to be afraid of happening every day.
Now, what if I was in your position, had a relative who was older I was worried about? What if I just like filled out a form and it's a brochure sent to their house or something? Is that something
Mm.
you'd recommend doing to get them on the topic?
I would definitely recommend not doing that. I think doing that, and we've also seen some people who just buy a system and say, okay, here you go, start using it. And both of those choices kind of take away, again, from the user's independence, and it makes it feel like they didn't have a say in the matter. And a lot of times they are going to kind of dig their heels in and decide not to use the device because if I was in that situation and someone made the decision for me, I definitely wouldn't want to use the device that they sent me. So it's really important that rather than just sending them something or a brochure, that you sit down with them and help them through the process rather than just doing it without any input from them.
And you mentioned that if I was with your grandmother right now, I may not even know she has it on because it's hidden behind a piece of jewelry.
Yeah, so hers is completely hidden, and there are actually a lot of different ways to make systems more discreet. There are jewelry pendants. There are also a variety of systems that look exactly like smartwatches, and there are also some systems for home use that look like smart speakers. So these systems can really be hidden from eye day to day. And then if you do decide there's a system that you like, but you don't love the appearance of it, you can still easily tuck it under a sweater or wear it beneath your sleeve as a watch. And some of them you can even throw in your purse and take with you on the go. So, no matter the system you choose, there are ways to keep it hidden.
My biggest fear is they keep it hidden by not using it, not wearing it. You
Mm.
convince them to get one, and then it just sits in a box somewhere, or it's not even plugged in. So, what can you do if they don't bother to wear it?
I think the first thing that you need to do is get down to the source of the issue and understand why they're not wearing it because there are a variety of reasons. The first, it could be just because they don't like the system that you chose. It might be because they don't like the look of it, or maybe they don't. understand fully how to use it if they're not completely familiar with the technology, or maybe they're just forgetful. So I would start by just really figuring out what it is that's causing them not to wear it. And then from there, you can address the issue. So if they don't understand the technology, you can sit down with them and walk them through everything and show them how simple it is. If they don't like the appearance of it, again, you can show them the ways to make it more discreet. And I think most importantly is just being proactive about this and really doing your research before you even make a purchase. Because if you sit your loved one down, show them how the system works, show them what they'll have to do to use it and what it's going to look like on. If they choose one that they are more familiar with and they like the look of, they're going to be a lot more likely to use it rather than if you just choose the first system that you see online. So really doing your research beforehand is going to help eliminate that possibility that they won't wear it.
You mentioned you actually sat down with your grandmother and did the research together, so they're involved in the decision making. So that seems like a good step to take as well.
Yeah, and she loved that because she was able to, look at the different options that she liked, and I could answer any questions that she had since I was with her.
Because the hiding behind jewelry could be a very important thing to someone with vanity, but not every system offers that.
Exactly. So there are lots of different systems. There's a wide variety. So even if the pendant isn't a concern for you, if you want something that you can use when you go out on walks and you want it to track your steps, there's a smartwatch option. So really, whatever your need is, whatever your concern is, there's probably a system out there that will work for you.
No, good to know. And some seniors have no technological skills at all, and others like screenagers. They carry a phone with them. They're surfing the net all day. And so one of those who fall in the latter category can say, well, I can always just call 911 on my phone. So what do you say to rebut that argument?
Yeah, there are two reasons that a medical alert system is going to be a lot more efficient than calling 911. The first is that obviously when you call 911, you're going to need a phone. And if you fall in the bathroom or you're in a room where your phone is not, you're obviously not going to be able to use it. Or if you fall and you're unconscious and you have your phone on you, you're not going to be able to call. So with a medical alert system, it's always on you, whether it's on your wrist or on your necklace. And so if you fall, you can just simply press a button and you'll be connected to a first responder who can send help. Or if you fall and you're unconscious and your system has automatic fall detection, it will automatically detect that fall and call for help as well. So even if you can't get to the button, help is still available. And then the second major reason is that medical alert systems usually come with what is called an emergency response plan. So you'll be required to fill out a lot of pertinent information that first responders can use to get you the help as quickly as possible. So every second counts after you fall in preventing serious injuries. So this is essential. These plans include information like your full name, your address, anything important about how to access your home if you live in a gated community or it's difficult to get to your front door, so that first responders can get in without any issue or causing any damage. And then these plans will also include your medical history, any medications that you're currently taking, and you will also have a list of your emergency contacts. So the person that's helping you get assistance will be able to reach all of your loved ones as well. So again, all of this just makes the process so much more efficient. If you were going to call 911, you would have to provide all of this information, which is really difficult if you're already in pain after a fall.
Yeah, I think that's really important because a false alarm is bad enough, but having your door broken down for a false alarm seems like over the top.
Definitely.
So you mentioned systems that can detect falls, like the one your grandmother uses. Are there any other like breakthroughs that would may convince people? Because you mentioned a lot of people just think about the outdated ones, and there's new tech on the market that might help convince them otherwise to try one of these.
There are a wide variety of systems, and year by year, we see so much innovative technology coming through with these. There are some systems that respond to the sound of your voice, so they work just like a smart speaker, and many of them even come with entertainment options. So you can listen to music or listen to an audiobook or ask it questions about the weather, set reminders for your calendar, just so many features available. Others will monitor your movements with motion detection. So for those, if you're at home, you don't even need to wear a pendant because the sensors will detect your fall and call for help. And then there are, as I've mentioned, systems that look exactly like smartwatches, and they also include a variety of health and wellness features. So if you're interested in tracking your steps and seeing how far you walk every day and adding reminders or calendar alerts, those are available as well. And even now, Apple smartwatches even have a feature that detects falls. So if you already have an Apple Watch and you like that better, there are limited options available for features on those as well. And if you want to learn more, we have all of the information on the different types of systems on our website on SeniorLiving.org.
Great. I especially like the entertainment ones because you can be like, oh, look, you can watch videos, you can listen to audiobooks, and oh, there's also this personal emergency responder system built in. So it becomes one of the features as opposed to the feature. So that's awesome.
Definitely.
Well, great. We can see why you're the senior tech expert at SeniorLiving.org. You certainly sound like you know what you're talking about. And like Taylor said, you can go to SeniorLiving.org to learn more about these options. And I think we should also mention that some of these systems come with free trials, so you can test them out and see if they work for grandma. And if they don't, you can try another system.
That's one of my favorite selling points too, is reminding your loved one that this is totally risk-free. And if you try it for a few weeks and decide that it's not for you, you're not locked into anything. You can send it right back, no problem. So it's really a win-win situation.
Great. I wish my gym membership were the same way.
I know, right?
Thanks for taking the time, Taylor. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.